You're a firefighter responding to an emergency call about a screaming woman possibly in danger inside her apartment when the government locks down the building, trapping you and all the other occupants inside. Turns out there's a highly contagious virus contained inside these apartment walls that changes people into ravenous flesh-eating monsters. I'm going to explain how you can beat the virus and the infected by breaking down the story, the mistakes made, and what you should do if you were in the 2007 movie titled Wreck. Time out. I want to quickly thank the kind people that take the time to like and comment on my videos. Your likes and comments really help with the YouTube algorithm and growing the channel. Okay, I just need 10 seconds to quickly advertise my online store to you, then I'll start the video. Check out mebomber.com for the funniest clothing on the internet. Mebomber is sure to get you laughs and compliments. MEBOMBER makes a great novelty gift for friends and family. And check out my Patreon if you want to directly show your support. Links in the description. Alright, let's start the video. News reporter Angela is filming a documentary about the local firefighters. Angela follows some firefighters to an emergency call about an old screaming woman in her apartment. They arrive at the apartment building and are directed to the screaming old woman's door by the policemen who are already on the scene. They break the door open. The woman inside the apartment has blood all over her clothes and is behaving crazy. Her name is Conchita. A policeman tries to calm down the aggressive screaming woman. The policeman turns his back to talk to a colleague and is bitten by Conchita. Don't let your guard down and turn your back on the aggressive mentally ill person who you're only inches away from. That's just common sense. Other emergency personnel pull Conchita off the policeman that she's biting and rush the injured officer out of the apartment. They discovered that law enforcement has sealed the apartment doors shut, which prevents the emergency personnel from carrying the injured officer to an ambulance. The confused people inside do not get their questions answered by the law enforcement personnel who are outside the entrance regarding the specifics of why they've been quarantined inside the apartment. In the United States, the 10th Amendment to the Constitution grants states, counties, and cities broad police powers to protect public health, which includes forcefully isolating people to prevent the spread of deadly contagious diseases. However, restricting people's liberty in such a harsh way is a last resort that generates political, ethical, and socio-economic controversy, which is why it has rarely occurred in modern history. For the city to risk the political backlash of trapping its citizens inside an apartment, that should tell you that there's something seriously deadly and contagious in there. If the problem was just a deadly substance in the building, such as something radioactive or chemical in nature, then law enforcement would be evacuating the building, not isolating people inside. So it stands to reason that the suspected threat inside the apartment must be a communicable disease. Since you don't know specifically what the disease is or how it spreads, you need to separate yourself from the other people in the building to minimize the risk of them possibly infecting you. Avoid tap water, only drink bottled water, and eat canned foods to minimize the chances of being infected by what you consume. Wash your hands and sanitize your environment. Break into empty apartments to scavenge for necessary resources. If available, open a window and sit near the opening to breathe in as much fresh air as possible. Then endure the forced quarantine alone in the safety of your locked apartment until the outside health officials give further instructions or execute their plan to resolve the situation. Back to the story. Alex, the firefighter who remained upstairs with the crazy old woman, is thrown over the staircase railing and face plants into the ground. He's seriously injured but not dead. The remaining policeman, a firefighter, the cameraman, and Angela, the news reporter, go upstairs to investigate. An unnamed woman that was attacked by Conchita runs towards the group, then collapses and dies. Conchita appears in the doorway, runs towards the group, and Sergio, the policeman, shoots her. At this point, you still don't know specifically why the building has been sealed off, but it's a safe assumption to make that it has something to do with Conchita and her crazy murderous behavior. That's the only thing that's been out of the ordinary so far. So don't get too close to Conchita or her victims, because you don't know how whatever is wrong with her spreads. Find a broom or another long, sturdy object that you can use to move Conchita and her victims into a quarantined room, so you don't have to get too close or touch them. The building occupants attempt to disobey orders and escape the apartment through a back door, but find out it's also been closed off by law enforcement. The law enforcement outside the building on a megaphone commands them to stay inside and stop trying to escape. The building occupants complain that none of their phones or TVs are working. The city has shut off all communications inside the building to prevent the general population from learning about this public safety emergency or the controversial forced isolation that's taking place. Angela, the news reporter, plans on boosting her career by exposing everything that occurred inside this building, so she interviews the residents, which is when we discovered that a little girl named Jennifer is sick and that her dog is also sick and being treated at the veterinarian. This is a giant red flag, and Jennifer must be isolated from the group inside a locked room. You're better safe than sorry. Anybody that's sick, no matter what their explanation, should be treated as a potential carrier of the thing that's scaring city officials into responding with these extreme actions. Sergio, the policeman, is finally informed and relays the information to the others that there's a potential infection inside the building and a health official will be coming shortly to blood test everybody. Sergio takes a census of where everyone lives when we find out that the top floor apartment is being rented by a mysterious man from Madrid who is never there. A health official in a hazmat suit enters the building. The health official and some others are examining the bite victim policeman and the firefighter that was thrown over the staircase by Conchita, who then both fully succumb to their illness and begin attacking everyone in the room. The health official Sergio and Manu escape the room and lock the door to stop the newly infected from exiting. The health official finally explains that the infection is a new virus similar to rabies that spreads through saliva, which was first traced back to a dog in the apartment building named Max, which is owned by the sick girl named Jennifer. Now that we have confirmation how the virus spreads, protect yourself by wearing multiple layers of clothing, which makes it more difficult for the infected to bite you or for saliva to enter your body through any cuts in your skin. The residents blame and voice their suspicion of the sick girl named Jennifer, but her mother argues that her daughter only has tonsillitis. Jennifer pukes blood on her mom's face, begins screaming and behaving crazily, and then runs upstairs. The mother becomes hysterical and tries to chase after her daughter, so the group handcuffs the mom to the staircase banister. The mother had blood and saliva from an infected person puked on her face, which entered her eyes and mouth, so she's likely infected too. The banister the mother was handcuffed to intersects the only pathway to the building's front door, back door, first floor apartments, and staircase to go up and down the first floor. So once the mother fully transforms, you'll regret having her handcuffed near the middle of the pathway that you're likely going to need to use in the future. The best decision would have been to handcuff and lock her inside an apartment. Sergio, Manu, Angela, and Pablo go upstairs to put the infected girl to sleep with an injection they receive from the health official. They find the infected girl upstairs and Sergio slowly approaches her with the syringe. Sergio turns around to talk to the others while only inches away from the little girl, who then attacks him while he's distracted. Looks like Sergio hasn't learned his lesson and repeated the exact same mistake that the older policeman made with Conchita. The now infected Sergio sacrifices himself to protect the others by grabbing and dragging away the little girl. The infected broke out of the room that the health official locked them inside earlier and are now attacking the residents, and the mother that was handcuffed to the staircase banister is unable to escape. The health official, Manu, Angela, and Pablo are welcomed into and hide inside the apartment owned by a resident named Caesar. The health official discovers that he's been bitten, so he does the right thing by locking himself inside a gated door to protect the others. The infected health official breaks through the glass in the door to grab and bite Caesar, who was carelessly standing right next to it. Manu, Angela, and Pablo run out of the apartment. This is a big mistake. The infected health official is still trapped behind a locked door, and attempting to kill the newly infected Caesar is far less risky than exposing yourself to the unknown number of infected apartment residents roaming the building who can attack, surprise, and corner you. Manu and Angela should have ran to the kitchen for a weapon to kill Caesar, and then taken shelter inside the safety of that locked apartment for the few days at maximum that it'll take for special forces and more health officials to enter the building. Back to the story. While roaming the apartment hallways, Manu, Angela, and Pablo are attacked by an infected person who Manu manages to choke to death. It's a big mistake to have your arms anywhere near an infected person's mouth while you choke them out. Minimize the chances of being bitten by using a weapon that allows you to attack from a distance, like a baseball bat. They are attacked by another infected person who Manu beats to death with a sledgehammer. They break into the superintendent's apartment that supposedly has the keys to the basement, which they plan on trying to escape the building through. This is another big mistake. They are much safer hiding inside an apartment than walking around a building that has an unknown amount of infected people roaming around. The best decision would have been to barricade the door that they just damaged while breaking into the apartment to help keep it shut so they can wait out this dangerous predicament until help arrives from the outside. While Manu was outside the apartment door standing guard, Pablo and Angela finally found the keys to the basement. Angela and Pablo leave the apartment and notice numerous infected people along the staircase, including a newly infected Manu. I have no idea why Manu chose to put himself in unnecessary danger by remaining outside the apartment door when he could have been just as effective standing guard from the inside. The staircase is blocked by infected people, so Angela and Pablo abandon the basement plan and instead run to the supposedly empty top floor apartment that was mentioned earlier. Angela and Pablo make it inside the penthouse, seconds before almost being caught by a pursuing infected person. The apartment is pitch black, so Pablo turns on his camera light, which reveals that the room is filled with science equipment and there's religious imagery all over the walls. They find documents and play a tape recording that details the experiments that members of the Vatican performed on a supposedly possessed girl named Tristana, who turned out to have a contagious infection that they couldn't figure out a vaccine for. I'm confused why Angela and Pablo aren't more concerned with finding a light switch or lamp in the room, so they don't have to rely on Pablo's camera light in a pitch black apartment which could have infected people inside. Pablo checks out the attic for a possible way to escape the building, and he's attacked and has his camera light broken by a random boy up there who's been infected. Now Angela can't see at all, and Pablo's only able to see in the pitch black room by looking through his camera's night vision mode. Angela and Pablo are surprised by and attacked in the dark by Tristana, the now ghoulish looking supposedly possessed woman described in the documents and tapes that they read about earlier. That's the end of the movie. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. I got got more how to beat and why you wouldn't survive videos coming up for your favorite movies and TV shows, so stay tuned. Have a fantastic day and I'll see you on the next video.